Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition from the Daily Debate. I'm Mahisi Rabia, and today we are going to talk about the tourism in Egypt. But to start with, we'll be having a look at the latest taking place in Egypt in our top stories, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is closely watching up on the electricity cuts for power saving in Egypt. The President gave his directives for immediate measures to limit the power cut duration and for the cuts to be fairly applied. The head of state also directed to concentrate efforts to end the crisis as soon as possible. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli held a press conference over the electricity cuts in Egypt today. Madbouli said the government was concerned about the Egyptian families suffering from the power cuts. He said the temperature rose during the past days, which led to an increase in power consumption, adding that 36 gigawatts of electricity had been consumed until Monday. The Prime Minister noted that a technical electricity failure at a neighboring country that supplies the regional electricity network impacted Egypt. He said coordination with the concerned minister took place to lay out an exceptional plan for the summer to avoid power cuts. Prime Minister Madbouli promised that power cuts would stop by the third week of July. Minister of Parliamentary Council Affairs, Councillor Ala Fuad-Eddin, asserted that the government pledges before the Parliament that from the 1st of July the electricity power outage would be reduced as soon as possible. This came during a general session of the House of Representatives headed by Councillor Hanafi Gibeli on Tuesday. During the session, a number of representatives also delivered urgent statements concerning the power outage in which they urged the government to provide an alternative plan. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry received a phone call from UN Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, Sigrid Kaag. During the telephone conversation, the two officials discussed the need to increase humanitarian aid flow to Gaza in light of the obstacle the Israeli occupation forces places on the entry of aid to the enclave. Shoukry expressed Egypt's rejection of some element seizure of humanitarian aid being brought into the Palestinian Rafah, as well as the Israeli side's lack of commitment to protect it and ensure that it reaches the Palestinians. The call tackled the current situation of Rafah crossing after the Israeli occupation forces damaged the Palestinian side of the border crossing. Welcome back, and moving to the tourism in Egypt, where Egypt's new tourism strategy for 2024 is aiming to double the size of tourism sector. More details in the following report.
Egypt's tourism sector has been trying to re-emerge as a vital driver of the economic growth, offering immense potential to revitalize the country's economy. With its rich history, cultural heritage and diverse attractions, Egypt possesses a wealth of opportunities to harness the power of tourism. Egypt's new tourism strategy seeks to double the size of the country's long-established tourism sector by eliminating the existing bottlenecks in terms of air travel visas and sightseeing opportunities. The name of Egypt is readily associated with exotic traveling in the minds of many Westerners. Being such a high-profile destination has naturally contributed to the economy. There are hardly any travel agencies or travel websites which do not boost a picture of the pyramids, the Great Sphinx of Giza, or another landmark from the ancient country. The sector has created direct employment for around 10% of the population. In terms of foreign exchange revenues, over $12 billion flows toward Egypt, with 15 million tourists who visit the country each year. The industry also accounts for 10 to 15% of the GDP. Despite its iconic status, the tourism industry has been through some ups and downs over the years. The sector welcomed nearly 12 million visitors in 2022, while the year 2023 witnessed a 33% increase in the number of arrivals. In 2023, the total number of visitors to Egypt reached 14.906 million, surpassing the previous record of 14.731 million tourists set in 2010. Egypt's tourism revenues increased by 26.8%, reaching $13.6 billion in the fiscal year 2022-2023, compared to $10.7 billion in the fiscal year 2021-2022. Egypt sets its aim of 30% increase in tourist arrivals in 2024, despite war headwinds in 2024. Egypt sees 6% increase in tourist arrivals in first 50 days of 2024. The Ministry of Tourism is contemplating a big boost across the hospitality and travel sector and sees the potential for another 20 to 30% growth, expressing hope to even raise the number of visitors to over 30 million by 2028. Such a significant improvement cannot happen without a well-structured roadmap. The Ministry, with the help of other stakeholders in the sector, has put together just such a document, the National Tourism Strategy. Launched in November 2022, the strategy document sets out to achieve its ambitious objective of doubling inbound tourism through tripling the seat capacity of flights to and from Egypt in a joint effort with the Ministry of Aviation.
And welcome back, our dear viewers. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined here in the studio by our dear guest, Yomna Salama, our tourism expert and tourist guide. Hello, Yomna, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yomna, Egypt announced that it is aiming to double the number of foreign visitors to 30 million by 2028. How can the country achieve this target? Through the development of its infrastructure and encouraging more investment in the tourism sector?
Well, as a start, I would like to shed light on the fact that we have been already working on a very strong agenda to increase the number of tourists coming into Egypt. And of course, this agenda will take lots of time and efforts, and the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities and all the people working in the tourism business are already aware of this agenda and trying to achieve its goals. First of all, as you mentioned, the infrastructure is very important,
yes.
And also increasing the facilities for the tourists, and it's very important to try to modify and adjust our regulations and our protocols so the tourist would have an easy experience coming into Egypt and dealing in different parts of Egypt. Above all this,
yes.
What I think is something very important is to work on the human capital development, which is actually developing the people working in the tourism business.
Very important point that you tackled.
Not just the hotels and not just the tour guides, and I'm talking also about the waiters. I'm talking about the people, vendors selling stuff, felucca men, horse and carriages men, all those people, we need to include them in a human capital development program so they are aware of the importance of tourism and how it will impact their life and how to deal with the tourists in many things. Due to the cultural differences,
yes, indeed,
some tourists might see a different attitude from those people, so the people need to be aware how to adapt and change their attitude a little bit so the tourists will not be surprised if they see something different from what they are accustomed to and so on.
Yes. How that could be achieved, Yomna? Developing the skills of the people who are dealing with tourists on different sectors, not only in the hotel business or in the companies, the guide, but the people, as you have kindly mentioned, who are selling stuff to the tourists, who the carriage riders. How we can develop the skills and train those people?
In my humble opinion, before they get their license to be a vendor or a carriage, tourist carriage man or a camel rider or whatever, before they get their license from the ministry, because all of them working in touristic sites, they have a license. Before getting this license, they need to enroll into a program of enhancing certain skills, of teaching them certain skills. So they need to be enrolled in such programs for human capital developments, and already we have some institutions and the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquity as well, that has already a department which is caring about this part, but it needs to be more, you know, on a general scale, on a wider scale, from north to Upper Egypt.
Indeed. The first quarter of 2024 actually witnessed growth in the volume of incoming tourist traffic to Egypt by 3 to 4% compared to the first quarter of 2023. Will this reflect growing demand on the tourism sector, or somehow we are still affected by the regional situation, which is, of course, affecting the tourism industry to a certain extent?
Well, you tackled a very sensitive point, and let me tell you and tell our audience as well that the tourism business or the tourism industry is a very sensitive.
Indeed.
Sensitive industry.
To everything.
Yes, it's sensitive to everything and anything.
Yes.
So it will be affected. You might be in a country, for example, Egypt. Egypt is peaceful, Egypt is safe, but still, if there is anything happening around the area, that might give the impression to others who wants to come, encourage them maybe. So it's our role always to shed the light on the true fact that, thanks God, we are not affected by regional issues and so on, as this is not something that will not make the tourists come. They might see on news or in other places and it looks like the whole region is one block, but it's not. So they need to be more addressed about the differences and the borders. We often tell tourists, by the way, there are thousands of kilometers between Egypt and its neighbors, and there are political borders and. So it is, yes, affected in a very different ways.
Indeed.
And the problem is that it's not always what's happening in your own country. It could be happening somewhere else. And it could be also something that is not related to tourism at all.
Indeed. Yes.
So that's the sensitivity of the business. But as a person from this field who has been working in the tourism business for now 25 years, we learned that tourism is like the sun. It shines and it sets, but it shines again. The sun will always shine. And tourism, as some of my colleagues would say it in different words, they will say tourism gets sick, but it never dies.
Indeed,
so the basic human need of traveling, exploring, will never stop. And you saw what happened even during the pandemic.
Yes, yes, indeed.
People started adapting and traveling with precautions and protocols and so on.
And life goes on.
Yeah, life goes on, exactly.
Egypt actually has witnessed a flourishing demand in this sector despite the, as we said, the geopolitical tension in the region. How has this showed the safety is important, but also how the travel professionals and the tourists are quite educated about the role of Egypt during that critical time, and how you as important representatives of the tourism sector, giving this message to the tourists who are coming and visiting Egypt, and they are seeing that the situation here is not, as you have kindly mentioned, affected by all the regional conflicts and instability.
Yes, this is also, again, you are always tackling the sensitive and important points, because indeed this is our role now. I think it's a role of lots of institutions in our country, lots of NGO work, and also the people who are working in the tourism business. But we all have to cooperate to send this message you are talking about, that the country is able to protect its own border, that Egypt is safe, that you can enjoy your tour in a very peaceful environment. We, as Egyptian tour guides, and I speak on behalf of my colleagues, even before the tourists coming, we all have our Facebook and social platform pages. We all started to post scenes about Egypt, scenes about on-ground tours happening, so all our friends around the world and all the people who are following us would see. You here, for example, in the media, you are doing a program, you are talking about tourism, people will see it, it's in English, in French, so this is our role now. In addition to all that, as we always say, we are always ready to send the right messages, and we are always ready also to defend our country. Today, it was popular. You find some people and some attempts of some movements around the world to steal the ancient Egyptian civilization, or take it to direction. We did a great role in the past few weeks also to stop such attempts. And when the tourists, they come, the second step, when they come and they see with their own eyes, the country
on the ground, reality on the ground.
Yes, reality on the ground. The country is safe, they are welcomed, they are protected, and they see how skilled the tour guides talking to them about the history and correcting the misunderstandings that they might have heard before coming. This is the word of mouth they take back home.
Yes.
So this is what we're trying to do, but still, as I said, all the institutions need to cooperate together to deliver this message. It's not just us in the tourism business.
Yes. What are the most alarming or the most difficult challenges that you are still facing in the tourism sector that need to be tackled in order to increase and reach the number of tourists that we are aiming for, which is 30 million tourists by 2028?
In my humble opinion, human capital development. The people working in the tourism business in a direct way, and the people who are working in an indirect way. This is the biggest challenge we have here, because at the end of the day, the infrastructure, can be done, and we are already seeing lots of amazing projects actually in our infrastructure, airports and new roads and bridges, and all this is facilitating, by the way, and saving the time of the tourists. And sorry?
Of course,
yes. And this is one thing, but on the other side, we need to work on the facilities. I always like to say we want to give the tourist a pleasant, easygoing experience.
Of course.
The routine. Some things and some regulations routine. We need to stop this routine, because this actually, in many parts, during the experience of the tourist, might be something unpleasant that could ruin his own journey to Egypt.
Yomna, also we have to mention here that with the new airport, the Sphinx Airport, which is close to the gem, which we are expecting to be inaugurated soon, to what extent this whole new place, which will be housing new hotels and could attract and facilitate the journey of the tourists visiting Egypt here by maybe coming direct to the Sphinx Airport, maybe from the beaches, from Hurghada or from Sharm el-Sheikh, and visit maybe the gem and the pyramids and return back. How that could facilitate the journey of the tourists?
It will facilitate by saving the time of the tourist, because this is very important, and it will also facilitate by the development we are witnessing today for the entire area of the Giza Plateau, the gem, the Grand Egyptian Museum, and surroundings, including also the new airport. The development of this area will give very good impression, because always when we take the tourists to the gem for the trial visits, right now,
sorry for interrupting you, Yomna. We'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Before returning to our debate with our dear guest, we are now having a look at Egypt tourism sector, which is witnessing 3 to 4% growth in tourist arrival during the first quarter of 2024.
As Egypt aims to boost and attract 30 million tourists annually by 2028, the country experienced a 3% to 4% growth in tourist arrivals during the first quarter of 2024 compared to the same period last year. Egypt welcomes 4.6 million tourists in the first 4 months of 2024, generating $4.3 billion in revenues. Up to 4,012 hotel rooms were Q1 of 2024, including both regular and floating accommodations. This increase brings Egypt's overall hotel capacity of 222,716 as of March. Egypt's tourism revenues for the year 2023 increased by 8% compared to the previous year, reaching a total of $13.2 billion. Egypt seeks an increase of up to 30% in international tourist arrivals this year, despite escalating geopolitical tensions. The country hosted 14.9 million international visitors in 2023, surpassing a previous record of 14.7 million visitors in 2010. Egypt's tourism sector is off to a promising start in 2024, with tourist arrivals witnessing a notable 6% year-on-year increase during the first 50 days of 2024. In a statement, Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Ahmed Isa revealed ambitious plans to further enhance the country's position as a leading tourist destination, targeting significant growth in global tourism share and aiming to attract 30 million tourists by 2028. Egypt aims to elevate its share of global tourism from 1.6% to 1.7% in 2028. This strategic goal aligns with the government's vision to position Egypt as a premier tourist destination on the global stage. Additionally, the country is striving for an annual growth rate of 25 to 30% in inbound tourism, highlighting its commitment to fostering sustainable growth in this sector. Reaching industry targets requires a threefold increase in airline seats and continuous work, coordination and integration among the ministries of tourism and civil aviation, which is essential to achieve Egypt's tourism goals. Egypt's share of global tourism rose in 2023 to 1.2%. This represents a 33% growth compared to its share in 2019 of 0.9%.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, and continuing our debate with our dear guest, Yomna Salama. Yomna, before going to the break, we were talking about how to increase the flow of tourists and the importance of an easier journey for the tourists coming to visit Egypt, especially after the Sphinx airport and the visit of the Gem and the Giza Plateau. So how that could make things easier for the tourists, and what more should be done in that domain?
Well, this will save the tourists a lot of time, especially for the tourist who has limited time or just transit tourists. Some people are just coming for transit before they catch a flight to another destination. So having the airport close to the museum and the Giza pyramids, this is something very important, because it will attract another type of tourist, and then it will save their time, so they can within 24 hours see the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx and the Grand Egyptian Museum. The development of the entire area also will attract the tourists, because the development of the area will be up to the standards, up to the international standards. Already the Gem is up to the international standards. It's something that we are all proud of. When you go to the trial visits today, we as tour guides, we tell them we are stepping into the future. Stepping into this museum, we are stepping into the future of Egypt. And we feel that everything should be like this, organized, decent, clean, nice, easy, facilitation. Everything should be like this. Every site in Egypt should be like this.
Yes. How we can reach that, to keep the whole journey of the tourist from the moment he lands on the Egyptian soil in the airport till he leaves Egypt, a smooth journey and an interesting journey, as we are enjoying many beautiful and attraction which are one of the best in the world. We have the best artifacts, the cultural tourism, beach tourism.
We have everything.
So how we can use that in a proper way, and to get the proper and the fair number of tourists that should be coming to Egypt, actually?
Well, as you mentioned, we have everything. There is no type of tour that doesn't exist in Egypt.
Yes.
We have history, culture, we have beaches, we have adventure, we have even the healing tourism,
Yes.
we have religious tourism, we have destinations that are remote for the adventurous, exploring type of people. We have sports, water
We have
sports.
religious tourism,
We have
everything.
yeah, everything.
Yes.
So what we need to do is to work on a proper agenda in a professional way, and we need some, as I would say, very brave decisions to be taken so we can move forward according to the agenda we plan. We have an agenda, we have a plan for developing tourism. We work on this agenda in a very professional way, and we take the strong decisions, the difficult decisions that might seem at the beginning challenging, but we need to step in and take this decision so we can change. We need, as I say, we need to make the change. The change is not going to happen by itself.
Of course.
We need to make the change, and we're already able to do that. We've seen on ground, you mentioned the gem, all the museums that we have opened. There is even one small museum.
Yes.
I remember even my mother, when she went to visit this museum in Ismailia, talking about the Suez Canal, the history of the... She was very impressed, and it's a small museum.
Maybe not too many people know about it.
You know, she told me, when you take tourists, take them there to the in the museum in Ismailia, take them to see the history of the building of the Suez Canal and how it was built by Egyptians on Egyptian soil and all this, and how it connects the world and all that. Just a small example. So we have lots of things to offer, and we already made some very positive things.
Indeed.
Let's continue. Let's not stop there. Let's continue. Let's again, the human capital development. Develop the people working in the tourism business. Raise the awareness among the Egyptians to know their country, to know more about their history, and to understand how to deal with the tourists, because the tourist is not always meeting with people working in the tourism field.
Yes.
The tourist will go out, buy from a supermarket, deal with a pharmacist. The tourist might meet anybody, taxi driver. Those people, those Egyptians, we need to be aware how tourism is important. So when the tourist would come, he would say, I've seen friendly people. They already say that, but on a limited scale. We need this to be on a larger scale.
Yes, indeed. Since you have mentioned the Egyptians and increasing the awareness of the Egyptians, let's shed light also about the local, the domestic tourism. To what extent this domestic tourism is important to Egypt, and for the Egyptians and for the younger generation to go and visit the cultural sites in Egypt? How important is that, Yomna, and to what extent you are seeing that on the ground?
Well, this is again something, in my opinion, also very, very important. We are over 105 million, I think, right now, or maybe more. This is the population of Egypt. Imagine with me if only 50%, I will not say more than that, only 50% are doing domestic tourism. What is the benefits we are getting? Of course, huge benefits on the economy of Egypt and for the Egyptians themselves. If only 50 million are doing domestic tourism in Egypt, we will be actually maybe self-sufficient from many things.
Yes.
I do not underestimate or not to be misunderstood that I don't need international tourism. We need the international tourism. It's very important, brings the foreign currency, but we also need to shed light, as you said, on the domestic tourism. Egyptians need to, there are Egyptians that travel more abroad. They've been all over Europe, but they haven't been all over Egypt.
Yes, very true.
Let's finish Egypt, because Egypt has a lot to offer and help your economy, and the Egyptians need to know that. And there are beautiful destinations of Egypt. I mean, I've traveled all over Europe, to the States, to Japan, seen a lot. We have here destinations that can compete on an international level with the most beautiful places in the world.
Yes, it's very true.
So we have a lot. And we need the Egyptians to feel the responsibility towards their country and their community, and to do the domestic tourism. And this happened, again, the COVID time taught us a lot of lessons. One of the lessons that Egyptians couldn't travel abroad, and we were all locked. So they started traveling within Egypt, and this was a huge benefits for the hotels and all the facilities, so they don't stop. So we maintained lots of our facilities even during the COVID season. And again, when they travel today to different destinations during the feast and all this, this is very important even for them. Because the only thing I would ask the management of all this, that the Egyptians, when they go to sites, when they go to museums, they must have a guide. No Egyptian can go. Now we have Egyptians going into the gym. They must be enrolled in a guided tour.
Yes.
Even if you are Egyptian, you learn about your history.
Yes.
And this should be applied, in my humble opinion, in all the sites. Egyptians go into the site with a guide. So they listen about the history and they understand.
They understand because
this
they
is
won't
very
understand
important
by themselves.
Yes, this is very important. Even if they have little background, we all studied history in school.
Yes, but it's different.
But it's different. Yeah. So this is one suggestion. I think it would be important to take it into consideration. And the new generation
also, they should be aware about their culture, their history. They have to know about everything about Egypt, of course.
And in the media as well, that as we are shedding light on this, we do touristic programs. We call a lot for a subject in school called touristic teachings.
Yes.
Not just history, but tourism, understanding of tourism and all that.
Yomna, for you as a tourist guide and expert in that domain for years, what are the most important locations and sites that you like to take the tourists to and you do enjoy while explaining the history of the place, or what is the destination that attracts you most?
My favorite places? There are plenty, actually. I cannot mention one place, but if we talk about ancient Egypt, the place close to my heart among the ancient Egyptian monuments all over Egypt is a temple of Abu Simbel. The great temples of Ramses II and his beloved wife Nefertari. This is my favorite place because I think this place represents a lot. It represents not just the glory and the strength of Egypt and the power and how Egypt is capable to control its borders, with the massiveness of the size of this temple and the story behind the first written peace treaty in history was written by the Egyptians. Not just the historical part, but also what happened and how the whole world contributed to save the monuments in this part in the lands of Nubia, in Egypt, and saving the Abu Simbel temple and raising it to a higher level. This shows the world that the ancient Egyptian antiquities are a mankind responsibility. It's ours, it's in our land, but it's for the whole world to enjoy, and everybody has a part to actually save and protect. So the temples of Abu Simbel, for me, representing the past and the lesson to learn for the future. Another beloved destination, Sinai. Sinai, with all its history, with all its charm and beauty, the combination and the colors in the Red Sea and in Sinai and the mountains and the spiritual places we have in Sinai, Mount Moses, St. Catherine Monastery. The importance of this place, it's a very dear place, I think maybe to every Egyptian, with its history, and it's a very beautiful place in our land and in our home. And this is the place I personally prefer to go for my summer holidays. And till now, I can say I've never seen beaches like the beaches we have in Sinai. I mean, I've been to the Maldives, they're very nice, but still the beaches and the colors of the corals.
The corals, the fish.
And, and the Red Sea as well, going further south from Sinai, of course. But this is something that means a lot for me. And the Bedouin community and their habits and their tradition, the Egyptian Bedouins that are different from other tribes and so on. This is one of my second beloved areas in Egypt.
Yes. Yomna, how far the summer season is a good opportunity actually to enhance the tourism in Egypt, especially the beaches tourism, and the national carrier, I do believe, did start also flights to Al Alamein now, and we have Ras Al Hikma, Al Alamein, also Sinai, Hurghada, many, Marsa Alam. We have many amazing beaches. So to what extent this the summer season in general is a good opportunity to promote for our beautiful beaches and this beautiful destination?
It's a good opportunity, of course, despite the heat that we are experiencing, but still this heat is not like other places. So, for example, if we want to talk about the region of the Gulf countries, extreme heat over there, not to be compared with ours. So you get to see the tourism from the Gulf countries coming to destinations, like you said, the North Coast, Ras Al Hikma, the Red Sea, because it's still much less than the heat they have there. So that's a good opportunity. We should do a lot of facilities there. We should do a lot of events to attract people in the summertime, you know, concerts, open-air concerts, festivals, exhibitions, open-air exhibitions, art exhibitions. We can use the summertime to do such events in such areas to attract tourism. Of course, for some destinations, this will not be preferred during the summertime because they can't take the heat, and that's why the peak of the tourism in Egypt in general is in winter time. However, in the summertime, water sports competitions, why not? Fishing, the yacht tourism that we have been talking about.
Yes, you have tackled here a very important point that I wanted to talk about, Yomna, which is the yacht tourism.
Yes.
And we heard a lot about the efforts exerted by the state in order to improve and facilitate all in front of this important tourism and indeed the income which could be from this luxurious kind of tourism. So how we can attract yachting tourism?
Look, Mahesti, you said a very important word. You said a luxurious type of tourism.
Yes.
So that means that the guest coming or the tourist coming is a luxurious guest. What do you need when you mention the word luxurious? Give him luxury. Give him luxury.
Yes.
Luxury in everything. Luxury in the permits, in the protocols, in the procedures. No routine. This guest doesn't have the time or the mindset to accept any kind of routine. This is a luxurious guest to deal with as a top VIP and to give him all the luxury he needs. Facilities. If he wants to get some fuel for the yacht, there will be stations for the fuel. If he wants to get food, drink, all this, anything this guest will need.
We have many neighboring countries who are doing that.
Of course, and we are not less than them. In fact, we are more, and we can offer them more. But as you said, luxurious type of tourism, so you need to offer luxurious type of service.
Indeed, indeed.
And
they won't accept less.
We still don't have that for the yacht tourism. So we need to do that. Luxurious protocol, again, the protocols, the procedures, anything that will spoil even a minute of this tourist, we don't want it. We want them to have an easy, pleasant experience from A to Z.
Yes.
And they come again because those people, they have their yachts and they go around the world. So if they like a destination and if they find comfort in a destination,
they will bring more friends and come.
Exactly. So this is very important.
Indeed. Yomna, unfortunately we are out of time, so Yomna Salama, our tourist guide and tourism expert, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Mahesti. It's always a pleasure to be with you and to be on Nile TV International.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of the Daily Debate. Till tomorrow with another program. Mahesti Rabia signing off. Many thanks for watching.